My little sister, who's here, Cass, we were at a restaurant, you know, I was eating at a table, and she goes, "There's Dustin Hoffman." I looked up, and there he was with a hat, and he was doing Death of a Salesman. And he was ordering takeout. She goes, you go over and you say hello to him. I said, "What? I'm not going to go say hello to him." She goes, "You love him, and you know his career. You could go over and say hello." It's like, and she doesn't do stuff like that. Like, she's not, and I don't walk up to people and introduce myself. But she was so pushy, and she literally said, she goes, "Look, if you don't do it, I'm going to just go over and I'm going to tell him who you are and that you're over there." I was like, he's not even going to know who I am. This is like going to be really humiliating. I'm not doing it. So finally she pestered me so much, I said, "Okay, I'll go over and say hello." And I went up, and then he was obviously had his hat on, and he was ordering takeout, and I just stood next to him, and I said, "Excuse me, Mr. Hoffman, I'm sorry." And he looked at me and went, "Cruz." And I went, I was like, you know, because Risky Business, The Graduate, it's one of the films that you got to look at as an actor when you're looking at, you know, at coming of age. And that's how I met him. I think it was the last week of Death of a Salesman. I said, "No, sir." I said, "It was sold out, standing room only." He says, "Well, come to see it." And I said, "Well, can I bring my sister?" You know, and he was so gracious, and he had me there and brought me backstage, and we were taking photos. I met the whole cast, and we were there. And as I was leaving, he said, "I want to make a movie with you." And I was like, "That'd be nice. Thank you very much, sir." You know, "Thank you, sir. That'd be very nice." You know, I was raised Southern. It was yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. And that's what happened. And basically he sent me, a year later, he sent Rain Man to me. He sent Rain Man, and the script was not the script. You know, Rain Man, my character was like 57 years old, you know, real old guy. I could say that now.